The bending moment is maximum on a section where shearing force A is maximum, B is minimum, C is equal, D changes sign. The correct answer is changes sign. Pick up the correct statement from the following. A. The rate of change of bending moment is equal to rate of shear force. B. The rate of change of shear force is equal to rate of loading. C. Neither A nor B. D. Both A and B. The correct answer is both A and B. A short masonry pillar is 60 cm x 60 cm in cross-section. The core of the pillar is a square whose side is A 17.32 cm, B 14.14 cm, C 20.00 cm, D 22.36 cm. The correct answer is 14.14 cm. A rectangular log of wood is floating in water with a load of 100 N at its center. The maximum shear force in the wooden log is A 50 N at each end, B 50 N at the center, C 100 N at the center, D none of these. The correct answer is 100 N at the center. The following assumption is not true in the theory of pure torsion. A. The twist along the shaft is uniform. B. The shaft is of uniform circular section throughout. C. Cross-section of the shaft which is plane before twist remains plane after twist. D. Already get twisted due to torsion. The correct answer is already get twisted due to torsion. The ratio of the effective length of a column and minimum radius of gyration of its cross-sectional area is known. A. Buckling factor, B. Slenderness ratio, C. Crippling factor, D. none of these. The correct answer is slenderness ratio. The maximum load to which a fillet joint of length L can be subjected to is A. 0.7 x SX fillet size XL, B. 2 x SX fillet size XL, C. Permissible shear stress x fillet size XL, D. The correct answer is 0.7 x SX fillet size XL. The neutral axis of a beam cross-section must A. Pass through the centroid of the section, B. Be equidistant from the top of bottom films, C. Be an axis of symmetry of the section, D. none of these. The correct answer is pass through the centroid of the section. If the beam is supported so that there are only 3 unknown reactive elements at the supports, these can be determined by using the following fundamental equation of statics. A. H0, B. V0, C. H0 H0, D. H0 V0 M0. The correct answer is H0 V0 M0. In a solid arch, shear force acts A. vertically upwards, B. along the axis of the arch, C. perpendicular to the axis of arch, D. tangentially to the arch. The correct answer is perpendicular to the axis of arch. A 3-hinged arch is loaded with an isolated load 1000 kg at a horizontal distance of 2.5 m from the crown, 1 m above the level of hinges at the supports 10 meters apart. The horizontal thrust is A. 1250 kg, B. 125 kg, C. 750 kg, D. 2500 kg. The correct answer is 1250 kg. For keeping the stress wholly compressive, the load may be applied on a circular column anywhere within a concentric circle of diameter. A. D2, B. D3, C. D4, D. D8. The correct answer is D4. For a cantilever with a uniformly distributed load W over its entire length L, the maximum bending moment is AWL, BWL, CWL, DW2L. The correct answer is WL. To ascertain the maximum permissible eccentricity of loads on circular columns, the rule generally followed is A. Middle half rule of columns, B. Middle third rule of columns, C. Middle fourth rule of columns, D. None of these. The correct answer is middle fourth rule of columns. Beams of uniform strength are preferred to those of uniform section because these are economical for A. Large spans, B. Heavy weights, C. Light weights, D. Short spans. The correct answer is large spans. The moment diagram for a cantilever whose free end is subjected to a bending moment will be A. Triangle, B. Rectangle, C. Parabola, D. Cubic parabola. The correct answer is rectangle. Reactions at the supports of a structure can be determined by equating the algebraic sum of A. Horizontal forces to 0, B. Vertical forces to 0, C. Moment about any point to 0, D. All the above. The correct answer is all the above. If a steel rod of 20 mm diameter and 5 meters long elongates by 2.275 mm when subjected to an axial pull of 3000 kg, the stress developed is A. 9.5541 kg cm2, B. 95.541 kg cm2, C. 955.41 kg cm2, D. 9554.1 kg cm2. The correct answer is 955.41 kg cm2. Shear force for a cantilever carrying a uniformly distributed load over its length is A. Triangle, B. Rectangle, C. Parabola, D. Cubic parabola. The correct answer is triangle. If the width of a simply supported beam carrying an isolated load at its center is doubled, the deflection of the beam at the center is changed by A. 2 times, B. 4 times, C. 8 times, D. 2 times. The correct answer is 8 times. For a stable frame structure, number of members required is A. 3 times the number of joints minus 3, B. twice the number of joints minus 3, C. twice the number of joints minus 2, D. twice the number of joints minus 1. The correct answer is twice the number of joints minus 3. When a rectangular beam is loaded transversely, the maximum compressive stress develops on A. bottom fiber, B. top fiber, C. neutral axis, D. every cross section. The correct answer is top fiber. In a continuous bending moment curve, the point where it changes sign is called A. point of inflection, B. point of contraflexion, C. point of virtual hinge, D. all the above. The correct answer is all the above. A beam of length L supported on 2 intermediate rollers carries a uniformly distributed load on its entire length. If sagging BM and hogging BM of the beam are equal, the length of each overhang is A. 0.107 L, B. 0.207 L, C. 0.307 L, D. 0.407 L. The correct answer is 0.207 L. A long vertical member subjected to an axial compressive load is called A. column, B. a strut, C. a tie, D. a stanchion. The correct answer is a column. The property by which a body returns to its original shape after removal of the force is called A. plasticity, B. Elasticity. C. Ductility. D. Malleability. The correct answer is elasticity. For a beam of uniform strength keeping its depth constant, the width will vary in proportion to A. Bending moment M, B. M, C. M2, D. None of these. The correct answer is bending moment M. A shaft 9 m long is subjected to a torque 30 Tm at a point 3 m distant from either end. The reactive torque at the nearer end will be A. 5 tons meter, B. 10 tons meter, C. 15 tons meter, D. 20 tons meter. The correct answer is 20 tons meter. The width P and depth D of a beam cut from a wooden cylindrical log of 100 cm diameter for maximum strength are AB 57.73 cm, D 81.65 cm, BB 81.65 cm, D 57.73 cm, CB 50.00 cm, D 50.00 cm, DB 40.00 cm, D 80.00 cm. The correct answer is B 57.73 cm, D 81.65 cm. If the stress produced by a prismatic bar is equal to the working stress, the area of the cross-section of the prismatic bar becomes A 0, B infinite, C maximum, D minimum. The correct answer is infinite. The section modulus of a rectangular section is proportional to A. Area of the section, B. Square of the area of the section, C. Product of the area and depth, D. Product of the area and width. The correct answer is area of the section. The property of a material by which it can be drawn to a smaller section due to tension is called A. Plasticity, B. Ductility, C. Elasticity, D. Malleability. The correct answer is ductility. The distance between the centers of adjacent rivets in the same row is called A. Pitch, B. Lap, C. Gauge, D. Staggered pitch. The correct answer is pitch. Columns of given length cross-section and material have different values of buckling loads for different end conditions. The strongest column is one whose A. one end is fixed and other end is hinged, B. both ends are hinged or pin jointed, C. one end is fixed and the other end entirely free, D. both the ends are fixed. The correct answer is both the ends are fixed. As the elastic limit reaches tensile strain, A. increases more rapidly, B. decreases more rapidly, C. increases in proportion to the stress, D. decreases in proportion to the stress. The correct answer is increases more rapidly. The ratio of the flexural strengths of two square beams, one placed with its two sides horizontal and the other placed with one diagonal vertical diagonal is A2, B2, C5, D7. The correct answer is 2. Every material obeys the Hooke's law within its A. elastic limit, B. plastic point, C. limit of proportionality, D. none of these. The correct answer is limit of proportionality. The maximum compressive stress at the top of a beam is 1600 kg cm2 and the corresponding tensile stress at its bottom is 400 kg cm2. If the depth of the beam is 10 cm, the neutral axis from the top is A. 2 cm, B. 4 cm, C. 6 cm, D. 8 cm. The correct answer is 8 cm. A pressure vessel is said to be a thin shell when it is made of thin sheets. A. Agree, B. Disagree, C. D. The correct answer is Disagree. When a column is subjected to an eccentric load, the stress induced in the column will be A. Direct stress only. B. Bending stress only. C. Shear stress only. D. Direct and bending stress both. The correct answer is direct and bending stress both. Which of the following statement is wrong? A. The deformation of the bar per unit length in the direction of the force is called linear strain. B. The Poisson's ratio is the ratio of lateral strain to the linear strain. C. The ratio of change in volume to the original volume is called volumetric strain. D. The bulk modulus is the ratio of linear stress to the linear strain. The correct answer is the bulk modulus is the ratio of linear stress to the linear strain. When a shaft is subjected to a twisting moment, every cross-section of the shaft will be under A. Tensile stress. B. Compressive stress. C. Shear stress. D. Bending stress. The correct answer is shear stress. A column is said to be a short column when A. Its length is very small. B. Its cross-sectional area is small. C. The ratio of its length to the least radius of gyration is less than 80. D. The ratio of its length to the least radius of gyration is more than 80. The correct answer is the ratio of its length to the least radius of gyration is less than 80. In a thick cylindrical shell subjected to an internal pressure P, the radial stress across the thickness of the cylinder is A. Maximum at the outer surface and minimum at the inner surface. B. Maximum at the inner surface and minimum at the outer surface. C. Maximum at the outer surface and 0 at the inner surface. D. Maximum at the inner surface and 0 at the outer surface. The correct answer is maximum at the inner surface and 0 at the outer surface. In order to avoid tearing of the plate at an edge, the distance from the center of the rivet hole to the nearest edge of the plate, i.e. margin, should be where D. Diameter of rivet hole in mm. A. D. B. 1.5 D. C. 2 D. D. 2.5 D. The correct answer is 1.5 D. In a riveted joint, when the rivets in the various rows are opposite to each other, the joint is said to be A. Chain riveted. B. Zigzag riveted. C. Diamond riveted. D. None of these. The correct answer is chain riveted. The load required to produce a unit deflection in a spring is called A. Flexural rigidity. B. Torsional rigidity. C. Spring stiffness. D. Young's modulus. The correct answer is spring stiffness. A reinforced cement concrete beam is considered to be made of A. Homogeneous material. B. Heterogeneous material. C. Composite material. D. Isotropic material. The correct answer is heterogeneous material. The radius of the Morse circle in the given figure is equal to A. Sum of two principal stresses. B. Difference of two principal stresses. C. Half the sum of two principal stresses. D. Half the difference of two principal stresses. The correct answer is half the difference of two principal stresses. The ratio of bulk modulus to Young's modulus for a Poisson's ratio of 0.25 will be A. 1:3, B. 2:3, C. 1, D. 3:2. The correct answer is 2:3. The bending moment diagram for a cantilever beam of length L and carrying a gradually varying load from 0 at the free end and W per unit length at the fixed end is a parabolic curve. A. Agree. B. Disagree. C. D. The correct answer is agree. The direct stress across a principal plane is known as principal stress. A. Yes. B. No. C. D. The correct answer is yes. On one side of a neutral axis of a beam there is a tensile stress, and on the other side of the beam there is a compressive stress. A. Agree. B. Disagree. C. D. The correct answer is agree. When a body is subjected to a direct tensile stress, the maximum normal stress is equal to the direct tensile stress. A. Agree. B. Disagree. C. D. The correct answer is agree. A bar of copper and steel form a composite system which is heated to a temperature of 40 C. The stress induced in the copper bar will be A. Tensile, B. Compressive, C. Shear, D. Zero. The correct answer is compressive. In the below figure the point C represents A. Elastic limit, B. Upper yield point, C. Lower yield point, D. Breaking point. The correct answer is lower yield point. Two closely coiled helical springs A and B of the same material, same number of turns and made from same wire are subjected to an axial load W. The mean diameter of spring A is double the mean diameter of spring B. The ratio of deflections in spring B to spring A will be A. 1:8, B. 1:4, C. 2, D. 4. The correct answer is 1:8. Two shafts A and B have the same material. The shaft A is solid of diameter 100 mm. The shaft B is hollow with outer diameter 100 mm and inner diameter 50 mm. The torque transmitted by shaft B is as that of shaft A. A. 1:6, B. 1:8, C. 1:4, D. 15/16. The correct answer is 15/16. The tensile strength of the welded joint for double fillet is where S leg or size of the weld, L length of weld, and T allowable tensile stress for weld metal. A. 0.5 S, L, T, B S, L, T, C. 2 S, L, T, D. 2 S, L, T. The correct answer is 2S, L, T. A double strap butt joint with equal straps is A. Always in single shear, B. Always in double shear, C. Either in single shear or double shear, D. None of these. The correct answer is always in double shear. At the neutral axis of a beam, other layers are subjected to maximum bending stress. B. The layers are subjected to minimum bending stress. C. The layers are subjected to compression. D. The layers do not undergo any strain. The correct answer is the layers do not undergo any strain. The line of intersection of the neutral layer with any normal cross-section of the beam is called neutral axis. A. True, B. False, C. D. The correct answer is true. In a thick cylindrical shell subjected to an internal pressure P, the maximum radial stress at the inner surface of the shell is A. 0, B. P tensile, C. P compressive, D. 2 P tensile. The correct answer is P compressive. Shear strength of the welded joint for double parallel fillet is where allowable shear stress for weld metal. A. 0.5 S, L, B S, L, C. 2 S, L, D. 2 S, L. The correct answer is 2 S, L. A column that fails due to direct stress is called A. Short column, B. Long column, C. Weak column, D. Medium column. The correct answer is short column. The thermal stress upon the cross-sectional area of the bar. A. Depends, B. Does not depend, C. D. The correct answer is does not depend. A thin cylindrical shell of diameter D, length L, and thickness T is subjected to an internal pressure P. The longitudinal stress in the shell is A PDT, B PD2T, C PD4T, D PD6T. The correct answer is PD4T. If the section modulus of a beam is increased, the bending stress in the beam will A. Not change, B. Increase, C. Decrease, D. The correct answer is decrease. A beam encastered at both the ends is called A. Simply supported beam, B. Fixed beam, C. Cantilever beam, D. Continuous beam. The correct answer is fixed beam. The bending moment diagram for a simply supported beam carrying a uniformly distributed load of W per unit length will be A. A horizontal line, B. A vertical line, C. An inclined line, D. A parabolic curve. The correct answer is a parabolic curve. The bending moment at the center of a simply supported beam with a gradually varying load from 0 at both ends to W per meter at the center is WL4. A. Yes, B. No, C. D. The correct answer is no. A body is subjected to a direct tensile stress of 300 MPa in one plane accompanied by a simple shear stress of 200 MPa. The maximum shear stress will be A. 100 MPa, B. 250 MPa, C. 300 MPa, D. 400 MPa. The correct answer is 250 MPa. In a thick cylindrical shell subjected to an internal pressure P, the tangential stress is always a tensile stress, whereas the radial stress is a compressive stress. A. Correct, B. Incorrect, C. D. The correct answer is correct. A simply supported beam of length L is loaded with a uniformly distributed load of W per unit length. The maximum deflection is and lies at the center of the beam. A. True, B. False, C. D. The correct answer is true. In a thick cylindrical shell subjected to an internal pressure P, the tangential stress across the thickness of a cylinder is A. Maximum at the outer surface and minimum at the inner surface, B. Maximum at the inner surface and minimum at the outer surface, C. Maximum at the outer surface and 0 at the inner surface, D. Maximum at the inner surface and 0 at the outer surface. The correct answer is maximum at the inner surface and minimum at the outer surface. The strength of the unriveted or solid plate per pitch length is A. D. T. C. B. P. T. T. C. P. D. T. T. D2X. D2X. The correct answer is P. T. T. A simply supported beam is one which is supported on more than two supports. A. True, B. False, C. D. The correct answer is false. For long columns, thevalue of buckling load is crushing load. A. Equal to, B. Less than, C. More than, D. The correct answer is less than. For the beam shown in the below figure, the shear force diagram between A and B is A. A horizontal line, B. A vertical line, C. An inclined line, D. A parabolic curve. The correct answer is a parabolic curve.